Hello and welcome to a full end-to-end demo of Modacta. So we find ourselves here on the dashboard page. Over here on the left-hand column, you're going to find your company name, channels, listed here in bold and capitalized, and feeds underneath these channels. The ability to mute these feeds is right here as well, and we can go take a deeper look at channels in a little second here. The main panel here, you're going to see 4 queues: sort, skim, share, and library. You're going to see a search bar. This is for searching for words or keywords found in this specific queue. So if we want to type in, for instance, Google, we're going to see anything that has Google involved in it. That's in our queue waiting to go. Get rid of it and it'll go right back to everything included there. So let's get started. Let's dive right in. I'm going to go ahead and create a new channel, as this is a process that everyone will go through. I'm going to call it food. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to look at sources. So Modacta already has some feeds programmed into it. We're adding more and more every day. But if I just type in food as a keyword, it'll show you a couple examples of different websites that we have that have food in their description or their overall title. For instance, though, if you have a specific thing like, for instance, Bon Appetit, you can go ahead and type that in there and that will pop up. If you didn't, though, you can also type in any URL that you see. So I'm going to go ahead and add that one. So let's do an experiment. If you had a food magazine, tacos. So Food Wise Sunset magazine. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab this part of the URL and see if Sunset has a feed list for us. They do. Sunset magazine pops right up. So I'm going to go ahead and add that as a source. And I always like looking for a news alert. So every time I hear something that I want to be trending towards or looking up, I'm going to type in tacos here because I love tacos. I'm going to go ahead and hit Google News for tacos. So I've gone ahead and added that one as well. When you're all done, you can go ahead and hit the X and close it out. And then it's going to load. So we see tacos here from Google News. We scroll down, we're going to also see Sunset magazine that we just added there, and a little bit of Bon Appetit, I'm sure, down here as well. So what makes Modacta powerful? Modacta is team-based, meaning that it's really meant to be used with other members or other users or your coworkers, etc., people in your group. So here the sort queue is a dual queue. What do I mean by dual queue? I mean that it is a shared queue across all instances, meaning if I action something here, it'll get actioned across the entire team. Now, to put that in perspective and give you guys an example, I have another one open right here, and I can go ahead and do this. If I action this over here, oops, sorry about that. I need to make you half and half. There we go. So over here is another user on my team, and this is me. So if I go in here and I get rid of that one, you're going to notice that it also removes it from theirs. Likewise, if they move one on by clicking the check mark, it'll move it to skim, and it'll remove from me as well. So the sort queue and the skim queue are all linked together in a way that makes it easy for multiple people to be working at the same time, as long as they have the same channels muted and connected. Now I've gone ahead and made these all the same. However, let me reload this real quick. In the food, if I get rid of tacos for this one, it's going to get rid of tacos for me all across all of my queues. So I'm not going to have any tacos in skim, share, and or library. So over here, I can go ahead and move 2 of these over, and for me, it'll show up in skim under the tacos. But when it comes to those articles over here, you're not going to see them unless we do that, and then you're going to see both of them. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to have everything linked to be the exact same so that we can show full functionality of how it works. So moving back into sort real quick, as you saw, every card has the title. It'll also have the location of where that feed came from when it was published, and it'll give you about like the first line of what's going on. You have two options on the sort queue. One is the golden check mark here in green. That's going to move it to the next location or the next queue, that being skim, and the X, of course, and the X will allow you to delete it across, like we saw, both for everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and move this one on and move that one on, and I'm going to get rid of that one, and you can see on this side what's going on as I go through this. So it's unified across all. Now when I move into skim here, and I'm going to move into skim over here as well so we can take a deeper look at what's going on. There's some new articles to load here, so you get the notification. That can be easily done, and then we're in the same place again. So now you can see a couple things to notice here. One is this is going to show you who's reading via their initials. So you're going to see who's currently on that article and reading it. The reason being is if someone's reading this article, this is a shared queue, meaning if the user over here, Heidi, deletes this, it gets deleted from me as well. So if you have two people on the same article in the skim, it's probably not a good idea. So I'm going to move on down to this one and let her take care of that one. Now a couple other things to note here that are really neat. What you're going to see is you're going to see who added it and when they added it. This resets a timer, and something that's very important that we thought about long and hard. We have a 4-day limit for an article to remain alive. 4 days from when it was actioned on or moved on. So from sort, it lasts for 4 days. If you move it into skim, it resets for 4 days. Move it into share, it resets for 4 days. If you move it into library, it's going to remain forever. But the idea was to keep things as consistent and contemporaneous as possible. So always new content. A couple really neat things to see kind of in terms of how things go. Now you're seeing full text here. We go ahead and we grab full text whenever we can of that article. Now if you have a lot of articles to go through and you're in skim or share or library, there's an easy option here which is a one-click to go to a summary. And when you click on this, it's going to cache that state so you can move actually to the next one and the next one, and they're all going to show in that summary format. If you find something that's really great though, you might want to read a little bit more about the article. You got full text as an option. Now one of the things that actually sets Modacta apart from just about every other platform out there is the fact that in articles we can go ahead, highlight, click this button, and we can @tag people. So you can @tag existing users, and then you can ask them different questions, etc. Right? And I can go ahead and hit save here, and that's going to highlight it over here. Now you're going to see a couple things that just happened. One is little comment box is going to come up, letting people know that this was highlighted. So now we know that there's an annotation on this article, so we're at least going to want to read it. Over here, you're going to notice a notification just showed up, which is going to have the article, who mentioned you, and what they said. So this is an easy way for them to figure out what was going on. Tacos on Thursday, sounds good, let's check that out. Now, for a user over here, Heidi's user is on a different article, but she has a notification for a different article here. So she can go ahead and keep clicking, or she can go here and she can just click on that notification and it'll pop straight up to that article along with the highlighted portion. So when she comes over here, she can actually just hover over and see exactly what the question is and kind of where that dialogue stands. And as you see now, everyone's on the same one here. Now if you're going to make a highlight, because this is the skim queue, you're actually going to want to move it into the share queue. So there's a couple different options here in terms of what you can action. You can action to the share queue, and the share queue is a global share across the entire team, where it's a personalized queue of kind of what gets through the skim. So if you want to think about it this way, sort is your snap judgment as to whether or not you think it's going to be a good article. Skim allows you to go a little bit deeper and make sure there was no clickbait in there. There's actual value in the article. And then share is what you want to be able to publish out to your team and give them like one place to go find everything. A lot of users are going to spend most of their time straight in the share queue. You know, there's your higher ups are not going to want to go through and sort through stuff and skim through stuff. They're going to want to go straight to the share queue and find out what was already kind of gone through. Or conversely, if you're a manager and your staff underneath you is just getting started and they need a little bit of guidance, you are the guy to go through, guy or gal to go through, sort and skim, and make sure your team starts in the share queue. That's the easy way to move it to the share queue. This deletes it for both people like we saw just a couple of minutes ago. And then this little pin down here moves it to library. Now library is a queue that never deletes. So think of this as your repository of articles for your company and or group where you can always go back and reference them anytime you want. Having come from world of consulting and started for a lot of different companies, my first 2 to 3 weeks of working for any company is reading as much as I possibly can on the internet to find out about topics. That's a thing of the past now. Instead, when a company is using Modacta, you're building a repository as you go around the topics and the trends that you're covering for your industry. So a new employee can get started if you move this over into a library like that. I can go straight into the library and I can have a list of all the articles that people thought were worthwhile, and I can see the ones that were annotated on and why they were annotated on. So instead of having to start from absolute scratch, it makes it easy for me to be able to go to one place and see what articles are annotated on and read through these so that I have a better idea of the different trends and topics that are being covered. Now you saw me move that article from skim and I hit the library button. Now the cool part about that is it also puts it into share. And when you put it into share, over here, you're going to have up to 3 options. So this is when we put in the library, so you don't see that library option over here. So there's only 2 options: delete it, or this little buffer symbol here is a one-click easy way for you to post it out to social media. For those of you that don't know what buffer is, it's a free-to-use social media tool that allows you to schedule posts to your social networks, including LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It really makes it easy for professionals that are busy. You can click it, queue them all up, write a nice little one-liner on them, and then it'll automatically post to your LinkedIn for you. Posting to LinkedIn is a very underrated thing. Not a lot of people do it, and it's a great way to make sure that you keep showing up in searches. So if you're prospecting in sales, marketing, partnerships, etc., sharing on-topic relevant stuff is spectacular. It also gives you a bit of a background for when people are looking you up when you ask to connect. So 3 options here. Everyone in the shared queue is individual. So if I go here and I actually delete this article, it only deletes for me. I'll still have a version in the library. So that's not going to go away. So there's always going to be a version that's already made itself to the library. But in the shared queue here, what we're going to see is the other option to move it into the library or just delete it. So if I delete it, it's only going to delete for me. We already saw that. Buffer makes it easy. You're going to notice that there's 2 different buffers here. If it's light gray, it means someone has already shared it to their social networks. So it's a nice little primer and hint that this is a good article. Someone in your group has already shared it to the social network. Back and bordering on that, the last thing for us to kind of go over here is going to be the library. As an admin, you have the ability to delete articles or add to buffer if you think it's something worth sharing. As a user, you're only going to have the option to share it to social networks via buffer. So this is just going to be the repository for all the stuff that we end up keeping. That's an overview of how all those queues kind of work together. I'll show you kind of a little bit more. We showed you how we could get a notification and find that, which was great. One thing we are adding is red receipts. So in the very near future, there's going to be a red receipt that'll say John Ivanko read article that you tagged him in, etc. A couple other things to note here. Some things that might slip by that are pretty neat if you click on an article, we're going to try our best to find the email address for people. So if it's a URL that obviously is not Medium or something like that, we're going to go ahead and try to find the email address of the person, which is great if you are a marketer or involved in partnerships and there's someone that's written something that you want to get a hold of, whether that's from a company blog, etc. It's always a great way in, and there's a lot of great tools out there like hunter.co, etc. But we built it right in just to be like easy about it. Also, if you do this and you do a one-click download here, it's going to download all the articles via CSV. But say you only wanted articles that were about Google, you can do that as well, and you can just click one click and you get a CSV of just all the articles that are showing. So we make things pretty easy that way. The last thing to kind of go over is there's some stuff that's thrown in here to make things a little bit easier. This is available in Skim, Share, and Library, but there's a summary button over here. So let's say you have an article, and this one's a little bit long, has some pictures in it, but we want to get things taken care of a little quicker. Boom, one-click summary of the articles, and this will save the state so I can go to my next article and just have summaries. So as you can imagine, in the Skim, if you're looking for things that are relevant to a topic and you want to go through them pretty quickly, one-click summaries and going through get you to these articles a lot quicker. Full text is here as well for you in case you want to go dive back into it. If you find something that you like, there's the ability to @tag people like we showed a little bit earlier, or I can @tag Heidi, or I can @tag the team. Team is a universal tag, so @team is going to tag everyone in your organization so that everyone will be notified of a portion of an article that's worth looking at. And if I go ahead and hit save on that, you're going to see that I got a notification myself that I was tagged in team, and Heidi's going to have 2 notifications, or 1 notification that she was tagged here. So it's all capitalized in the same one. So it recognizes that she's also part of the team and condenses it down to 1 notification. That is the giant overview of Modacta. We're here for you. We know there's a lot of little things, and we know that there's a bit of complexity in here. There's also things here, as you can see, some things are muted, where we showed earlier that you could mute things across the board for people. We've built this as intelligently as we could to really streamline communication across teams and to allow people the flexibility to read all their news in one place instead of dropping stuff into Slack or sending an email or all these ways that things just tend to get lost through the cracks. If you have any questions or you want to set up some time to jump on the horn with us, talk to us, or do a demo that looks more deeply into specific things, feel free to send us an email at hello@modacta.com. That's HELLO@modacta.com. We look forward to hearing from you, and we're always open to hearing some feedback too as well, so that we can improve this for everyone. Because remember, it starts with you, your team, and deciding to connect through shared trends, likes, and habits, and creating teams of thought leaders. Have a great one.